Welcome to Shoot the Breeze, a series on a podcast that celebrates the messiness of life, relationships, and Christianity, featuring my wife Lacey and myself, Nathan. It's creatively titled because it will be just us shooting the breeze, sometimes with guests, while occasionally saying something important. We hope you enjoy.
Hey, hi.
Hi, baby.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good. I'm looking at this menu, seeing if I like anything on here.
Because we're going on a date?
Yeah, it's so exciting. We get to go out on a date by ourselves.
I know.
And I was thinking, actually, for our date, do you want to drive around downtown a little bit and look at houses?
I was going to say, look at how crazy things have gotten.
No, like architecture.
Oh, yeah, we could do that too.
I like doing that.
The nice thing about looking at architecture in Austin is that you also get to see, well, I was going to say the results of rioting and stuff, but yeah, that sounds fun. What?
I feel like you needlessly made that political because it's not like there's like broken windows or broken. You're being really dramatic. There's like no riots that have happened in Austin for a while. Was that your attempt at humor?
All right. You know what? Oh, hey, you know what we should do is talk about dates. Like dates that we've been on, like some of our more favorite ones.
We've already done that. We did that in a different podcast. Yeah. You're looping.
Yeah, like our first podcast.
No, I want you to tell me. This is okay. So we're freestyling a little bit.
Right.
So what I want you to tell me is your perfect date, not April 25th, but your perfect, like if you could pick the most relaxing.
25th?
It's a joke. It's, you know the movie, I think it's Miss Congeniality, where they're doing the beauty pageant and he says, all right, tell me your perfect date. And she goes, April 25th, because it's not too hot and not too cold, and all you need is a light jacket. So when anybody says your perfect date, that's what.
That's funny. I did not know that.
I'm taking off all my jewelry because
it like clings against the table.
I know. So here's my jewelry pile here.
Okay, so my perfect date would be, ones that. So I do like watching a movie in a theater. That
I miss that.
I know, I miss that too.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah. So I do a date that, other things that if we did, ready?
Ready.
Here it is. So we go to a movie.
Okay.
Watch a movie.
Right.
Matinee. So like I'm thinking 9, 10 a.m. Okay. Watch a movie.
Yes.
Do a lunch.
Okay.
Okay. Like Thai food.
Yes, of course, 100%.
Yeah, no question. So then we do that. We go to IKEA.
Okay.
We hang out.
Do we have
IKEA.
money to spend at IKEA, or are we just wandering around?
So much money.
Okay, that's fun. Yeah.
So much money. And we go to IKEA.
You're doing like a whole day.
Yeah, this is my perfect
Shindig.
date. You asked me what my perfect date was, not what my perfect hour is. That's a different conversation.
Keep going.
That's not allowed on this podcast.
Keep going.
Okay. IKEA.
Hour. Okay, go ahead.
You made me lose track. Okay, so IKEA for the early afternoon. Okay, so like 1 to 3 to 4ish. Okay, then we get coffees.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
I like that.
Yeah, actually, coffees might come before IKEA.
Yeah, I think so. We're tired enough by then. We definitely gonna need some coffee.
Exactly.
Okay.
Then we do let's see, IKEA dinner. Okay.
Mm-hmm. What kind of dinner?
So for
Thai food
dinner,
for lunch.
Yeah. Here's the thing with dinner.
Yeah.
Is it all depends upon. I think maybe when I'd probably be hungry for a steak.
You're always hungry. You've been in a phase lately where you're always hungry for a steak, yet the 3 women you live with have braces on and just cry a lot when we have to eat steak. So
you don't have to eat steak. I'm not making you eat steak.
Okay. All right.
So then which means we'd go to a steakhouse.
Wow, this is so new. It's since we moved to it feels like it kind of coincides with moving to Texas. Your new
No, I've always loved steak. It's just, it was
I just
so
never bought
expensive
it.
in Alaska,
It's
and
still
you never
so
bought
expensive. I still don't buy it.
it. Debatable. So then we eat, probably, you know, take an hour to eat at a nice a steakhouse, right? I mean, from
A whole hour.
arriving.
Okay, yeah.
Well, from arriving to
Got
ordering
it.
and
Okay.
waiting and eating and talking. Okay. Then, so this brings us to about maybe 5, 6 o'clock. So we go home.
Yep. Okay.
What?
We're home.
Yeah.
Are the children gone somewhere? Are they like at summer camp?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. They're summer camp.
Disappeared. So we go home. Then we put on one of our DVDs of The Office.
Okay.
And you play with our kittens while I put together the IKEA furniture that we
Okay.
bought. That would be my perfect date.
So I think that's hilarious. The kittens made it into the date. It's been we got these new.
Well, it's because they've been laying with you.
I know they're so sweet. We got these little kittens last week. We've had them a week today, and the girls are just totally in love with them because we were gonna get one kitten.
Yep.
And we ended up taking two, like
Right.
crazy people. And so we took two, and the girls have been so in love with them. And they play with, I mean, they carry them around. They do their schoolwork with them. They're with
Yep.
them all day long. So
Yeah.
Nathan and I just don't even get a chance to see the kittens. So when they go to bed,
That's like our only time.
we go and get the kittens.
Well,
And we sit with them while Nathan does a treatment at night. And it's been really enjoyable.
the thing is yeah. And then what's funny is if we even like try to go pet them while the girls have them, they're like, it's our time. It's our time. It's like,
Right.
you literally have them all day.
Yeah. They're doing a good job, though. I'm actually relatively impressed by how they're caring for them.
They do
So.
better than our dog.
Which I will say this.
Yeah.
We had a good school day today.
Did you really?
Yeah, it's like a miracle now when that happens.
Well, I'm kind of shocked.
Yeah, we'll loop around that later.
Oh, okay.
Do you want to hear about my perfect date?
Yeah, no, that was actually going to be my next question. So, if you had to pick a perfect date,
Right.
what would it be?
Do we get to, okay, it's not a trip, just a date, like a day date.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're not flying anywhere.
No, even driving.
We're not. Well, I mean,
Because
we
it always
drive
ends at the beach.
Dri-
My perfect date. Her vacation.
You know what? No, I'll give
Or-
that to you because the closest beach is about 8 hours total round trip.
Round trip.
So, if you wanted to go to the beach for a day date, we technically could.
Probably not for a day date. I'd like at least overnight because I like being able to get up in the morning and go out on the beach and make coffee.
Or watch the
Actually, a
sunset.
lot of the parts of the beach I really enjoy don't involve you at all, but just
But I've
me
known this.
and the beach
No, I've known this.
and my coffee.
It is a place that you go to be with God.
Right. And we were supposed to actually go to the beach for a camping trip over. What was it supposed to be? Easter?
But we've already talked about how we're not camping on the beach anymore.
Yeah, no, I love camping on the beach. And we were going to go, but it was really bad weather, and so we couldn't go. So I feel like that just got totally stolen from me. And
Well,
so
it
I'm
sounds
in
like we're going to have to
desperate
just go to the beach and go to a hotel to stay
need. I
on the
want to
beach.
camp.
Babe,
I love camping.
I do.
You get to hear the waves.
Here's the thing.
And
Our last camping trip to the beach, severely.
I know, and you got to, it's like getting kicked off a horse or bucked off a horse. You just got to get, I've never had I don't know the correct
Have
terminology.
you ever been kicked
Fallen
off
off a horse?
Would you get back on if a horse bucked you off and kicked you?
Actually, I will say this. My sister had a horse aptly named Jezebel, and she almost threw me off, and I thought I was going to die. And if that horse would have thrown me off, I would not have gone back on the horse. No.
We could do a podcast on biblical names not to name your children.
Right, that's true. Anyway, okay, so we're going back to my perfect day.
Yes.
Probably not be in the car for 8 hours, even though I do enjoy long rides with
But
you.
here's the thing, without kids.
No, part of the reason being in the car so long is enjoyable is they're all buckled up in the back and they have free Kindle time, so we don't have to listen to them.
Yeah, but you and I, we have some of our deepest, most revelatory.
On car rides, yes, it's because the children are buckled up in the back and not. They're.
No, even before children, we
true.
had some of the most
You're right.
road to Damascus moments.
It's true.
Is that a fair?
I will say this. Okay, so I'm still getting to my date. You still are. You keep getting
waiting.
distracted.
I'm just waiting. I'm just waiting.
I honestly, as it changes.
About the beach.
It changes as I like, depending on the mood I'm in. Oh, I'm too close to the mic.
Well, if you start yelling, yes. Here's the thing. So this is an ongoing. If you've listened to our podcast or any recorded material of ours in the last 15 years, here's what you will constantly hear behind the scenes. Lacey, can you speak up? Lacey, quiet. Lacey, speak up.
Control your levels of your voice, please.
Please control your levels.
We've already determined I can't. After 15 years, you think you would know I can't.
Well, and here's what here's the beauty of this setup is if you feel like you're getting louder, you just back up. But then if you feel like you want to talk like NPR, you just go really close to the mic like this.
You still haven't let me talk about my perfect date.
Well, you spent like 20 minutes talking about the beach and how I'm not involved in that.
Anyway. I'm going to be honest with you. I really miss the movies. I love the movies. I love being able to see like a action or like movie with lots of like explosions or a thriller or something like that in the movie. I'm not as much going to I'm not going to go generally to the movies for a romantic comedy, but like a big movie like that, like a Marvel movie or something like that.
Like a cinema type movie.
Right. I love that. But
Loud
honestly,
booms.
I do like dates where we're able to talk a lot. So if we're able to have a leisurely dinner, like longer than an hour somewhere, that's really nice. And
see, that's what I mean. That was
like
perfect.
a patio somewhere, or I do enjoy going to IKEA with you, even though people are concerned about us because we always argue.
We always argue?
Yeah, if we're trying to plot out a space in our home, we're always arguing about how it's gonna go.
I don't view that
it's
as
like
arguing.
A friendly banter.
No, I don't view that as arguing. I view it as we are both passionately about the opinions that we have, and we are each trying to prove our side.
It's true. So yeah.
That's not an
So
argument.
to answer the question once and for all, my perfect day would definitely depend on the mood I was in on that day.
That's so one of the most, just to be clear for a podcast, most boring answers. You gave zero detail.
Right.
You expounded on nothing. And you expected me to.
Right.
And you're like, oh, well, let me tell you about my perfect day. So it depends on how I feel.
Yeah. Accurate.
Okay.
So back to what I was talking about earlier. So with we are now in what the homeschool world. I think all of the homeschool moms, honestly, any mom. You know what? I think it's anybody really. I don't think it's just homeschoolers. It's like pulling teeth this time of year to get your kids to do school. Like everybody's done, not just the kids, like the teachers, the parents. Everybody's just.
This is the season. This is the time of year when it's, hey, we have a free day. We're watching a movie. Not like homeschool, but like even in school. I remember the girls would come home and be like, we watched a movie today. Right. Are you serious? Did you do any work?
No, we just watched another movie. Yeah, because it's like pulling teeth to get anything done. And really, the only thing, our schedule's out the window. Really, we're just doing checklist homeschooling where I've told the girls, like, you have to get these main subjects done because if you don't, you're just going to be doing them to infinity. Like, you have to keep doing them.
Right.
So it's the only thing that's really motivating them to do it. So I've abandoned all schedule. I've abandoned all hope of creativity. I've abandoned all hope of, like, me feeling the warm feelings of what a great homeschool it is. It's basically just really severe, get it done kind of.
But also, you feel like God has been speaking to you in the last couple weeks about your homeschool style.
Right. So I will back up a little bit on that because I did want to, back when we started homeschooling this year, I did a YouTube video kind of talking about what curriculum I was going to use and like my naive, happy vision. It was of
the #1 video we've ever produced.
Nuh-uh, you didn't tell me that. I told you people like hearing about it because there's such an overwhelming amount of curriculum that it's
women between the ages of 25 and 40. Like
right, because everybody had to homeschool their kid last year. Anyway.
No, you said people. I was being more
Right.
specific as to the demographic. What my analytics were showing. Women
Right.
between the ages of 25 and 40 were hopped up about that video.
And it was fun. Like, it's, you know, it's always fun to pick out the curriculum. It's like an entirely different matter to do the curriculum with the child. Even if you had to do the curriculum yourself, that's way more fun than having to make your kid do it. And, you know, these are things I know in my mind, but trying to, like, I don't know why. I still cling to my ideals for so long. So I have, in my homeschool, I have my 13-year-old, I have my 10-year-old, and I have me. Because you can't discount yourself as a teacher. You have
Right,
your
you're there.
preferred method. Just like you have your preferred method of learning, you have your preferred method of teaching. And we're all so different. So me, I am really a reader. I was homeschooled actually, and I read my way through school. I just read. So Sunlight to me was like a dream. Like, their logo is actually the way you wish you were schooled. And
Isn't it like someone reading a book?
no, well, it's a. I think their logo is still. I think it's a sun, but the
It's a sun with a book, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
But I mean, the logo literally is the way you wish you'd been taught.
Oh, the slogan.
Yeah, the slogan.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I meant to say. So, and honestly, I agree with that. Yes, I wish I was. I kind of created my own Sunlight program, but yeah.
When you were growing up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I saw this, and I'm like, this is great. So, and you know what? We started, as can be said about most things, we started really solid. Like, we were really good for a few months. And what ended up happening is, and I will say this, it started us off with a good schedule, and I was able to build on that. But what I was starting to see was there's just so many books to get through, and you're not supposed to be slave to it, but at the same time, there's books for you to read aloud, and then there's books for your kids to read to themselves. And I have a reader who is, my 10-year-old's a really strong reader, but she doesn't like to really do it.
Right.
And then my 13-year-old is a struggling reader. And so even though she loves it, like, she loves audiobooks, she's totally transformed, you know, into a world when she's listening to audiobooks, and she wants it, she really struggles with it. And so doing a program like Sunlight was just constant frustration of me feeling like I couldn't get all the books. So I don't know how many books there are, like 40, and I think we got through 5, like, to be 5 or 6. I'll give myself a little bit more. But and the ones we did read together were really, really great. And so it's supposed to be an all together curriculum, so it's supposed to have your language arts. But the language arts didn't work for my one daughter, so I had to find a different one for her, and it didn't work for my other, so I had to find a different one for her. Well, then the Bible didn't work either, because it was kind of boring. I mean, maybe you guys, I'm not gonna say it's not boring for you, but for us it was kind of boring.
Hold on, pause.
Yeah.
Hold on. I feel it necessary to interject this. We've been watching The Chosen.
Good stuff.
If you've not started watching The Chosen, download the app. It's free.
I think
Watch
watching The
episodes.
Chosen,
It's free.
watching The Chosen is the most Christian education our kids have ever gotten.
Successful.
Successful.
Because
That's
I don't
what-
want to diminish.
No, I mean, we've had them in church and in
So for
Sunday schools and all that.
to back up Lacey's point, we're watching. Back up. Okay, I'm gonna get a hand that moves the mic to and back. Like, not only do I have to concentrate on what I'm saying and how
Okay.
I'm saying it, I'm gonna also get an arm that
I'll put
stretches.
my phone right here to make me not go forward.
So we're watching The Chosen. And we're like halfway through the first season. And Ari goes, man, this is so, disappointing, because the only
No,
character...
she goes, it's so great, but I'm sad because the only character that's in the Bible is Jesus. And then just the other night, she goes, because we've been watching them on Fridays, she goes, wait, do you mean to tell me that verses are things that people like real life people said out loud?
So backing up to Lacey's point of this is the best Christian education that they've ever had is watching The Chosen. Good night. Speaking of which, it's a fantastic show to watch with your kids.
Yeah, it's one. We love it.
Real quick.
Yes.
As long as I'm on the track of The Chosen, we're watching the story of Nathaniel and Philip the other night, which is where I got my name, Nathaniel and Philip, Jesus' disciples. And I was like, oh guys, good, we're watching the episode of me. Like this is how I got my name. These are my story, these are my stories. Kind of like joking. Well, Ari, so we kind of are halfway through the episode, and Ari's like, man, they do remind us of you, Dad. One of them's arrogant and one of them's mean. I was like, I look at Lacey, I'm like,
yeah, it was a little harsh. Just a little harsh.
Thank you so much for listening to our podcast. This is one of the many resources we make available for free at our website, cultivaterelationships.com. Our resources have helped people grow in their relationship with God and others. We've seen people set free from uncontrollable anger and paralyzing fear. We've witnessed estranged family members be reunited after working through our freedom booklet. We've helped people build healthy relationship and coping habits through our coaching videos. And all of these resources are made available for free because of the generous support of people like you. If you would like to become a partner, please visit cultivaterelationships.com/support. Now, I hope you enjoy the rest of this episode. Okay, so you were talking about sunlight and how the Bible curriculum was really it was a lot. I feel like it was a lot, and it wasn't good enough for...
It wasn't engaging because Okay, so what was engaging part about it is they had the kids read a part and the parents read a part, and I think our kids really like that. Our kids really like that.
You can't get quieter as you back away.
Hello, my name's Lacey. This is my first time to ever do media.
Don't get louder as you lean in.
Oh, stop it.
Okay, go.
Okay, so you just fix it in post. Okay, so
there's many facets to my wife that I love.
They liked that part, and they liked being able to have that family devotion, but they just had us reading over the Gospels, and that was good, but it was the same passage every day for a week in a different Gospel.
Right, which
and
can become...
so it just kind of became tedious.
If you're doing a Bible study where you're digging into the Greek words of stuff, yeah, it is fascinating and incredible. Not for a 10 and 13-year-old, one of whom has issues with processing. It's like horrible.
Right. So at the end of the day, I realized, wow, all of this, I got this curriculum because it was a one and done. Like, I was supposed to have all your stuff, but the only thing I'm really using from it are the read alouds. And even those were hit and miss. Like, I started one, and
what are the read alouds?
They're books. They're the books.
Oh, okay. That's the book curriculum that goes with it.
Right. So it's literature based.
Yeah.
And so most of all,
they love that.
They do. They love the read aloud part.
But you only got through, like you were saying, like 5 of the 37 million that were
right. Yeah. And then on top of it, they weren't able to do their own reading with it. I mean, some of it Ari could do, but it just wasn't working with the schedule because I ended up having to pull in other stuff. So, midway, a few months into the year, Lydia and I were working on her reading program, and, she just started to cry, and she just looked at me and was like, Mom, I miss the one I had in public school. And it was Take Flight, which is an excellent program, actually. We see a lot of success she got from that program. The problem with it was you can only teach it if you've been certified through, like, as a teacher.
Right.
So I didn't have access to it. And the one we were doing was okay. It just wasn't as intense as she needed. So I just looked at her. We're both crying. I said, Liddy, let's just pray. So we started praying, and I just started asking the Lord to show me what to do. And so I started Googling programs that are like that one. And the Lord led me to this program that's online called Lexercise. And we ended up applying for a scholarship for that. And there was actually a person that she got it for 3 months. And so she did Zoom meetings with a therapist for that weekly, and it really, really helped. And so then she does the computer program the other days of the week.
Right.
And what that also did for me is that freed me up, because every single subject with my kids, I pretty much have to be there for them, even though they're older, which gets kind of long. And then if I'm spending more time with one kid, then the other one gets jealous and it becomes a thing. So exercise was really great. Our scholarship ran out, so now we're doing it on our own, but it was a really good, I don't know, I just feel like the Lord really provided that for us. And so I started doing that with her, and then ended up getting going with Good and Beautiful for Ariana, and that's one she really loves, because she's very the way that Lydia learns is she's a reader that can't really read on her own, so she does a lot of audio and video stuff, and she loves it.
Yeah.
Ari is very much a kinesthetic learner. She can listen okay.
Yeah, but she gets too bored or needs to do something.
She needs to do something.
So like
right.
she'll sew while you guys are doing
right.
stuff.
So
right?
we've had to add in a lot of stuff. So I realized, part of what Nathan's talking about is and then we've had a lot of emotional issues with the girls this year. So I had really set myself up to really want to do school in this really specific way, because I loved it and I valued it. And so much of the year was me releasing how I thought school should go and what benchmarks I thought we should be hitting, and really allowing the Lord to lead it. I got our schedule. Actually, 2 different people came to me and said they wanted to teach my girls different skills. So starting the year, this lady at our church who's amazing and beautiful and wonderful offered to give the girls sewing lessons. And
and she had said that God had spoken to her about that, right?
And so I was like, great. Yeah. And it just became this awesome thing for Ariana, and it I don't know. I mean, so she did that most of the year with them, and Ari so looked forward to it, and she was able to create this relationship, and she doesn't live far from us, so she could ride her bike down the street.
Oh, it was so perfect.
And it was so wonderful.
It was so perfect, yeah.
And coming out of the pandemic, it was just it gave her a freedom in that, and it gave her a skill that she still will sit down and do. And then also a few months ago, another friend of ours came and said, hey, I'd love to give your girls swimming lessons. Yeah. And even though Lid's on swim team, this is something that my kids are swimming really helps them. It really helps them focus. And so, my days are getting so full of this extracurricular. So Ari's doing dance, and she's doing sewing, and Lydia's doing sewing, and she's doing swim. And then we have our homeschool group we're meeting with. And
they're both doing swim with this other lady. And
right. And so, I am not one for filling your schedule with extracurricular, but I think through it all, the Lord was showing me, hey, this is actually what your girls need. They need to have more hands-on time than they do book time. Yeah. And so we ended up incorporating that into our afternoons are primarily activities. Our mornings are more sit down, get done, the book work. In theory. All theory. Yeah. And we also incorporated, we've talked about it before, but World Watch, which is a current events news program.
If I want to say this, if you are interested in the news, but you're completely devastated by what's happening in the news, you should subscribe to World Watch. It is fantastic.
And it's good for the whole family.
It's incredible for the whole family because it's keeping you up to date with what's going on in the current events in a way that is not, number one, completely paralyzing with fear. And also, there is some really fun stuff happening around the world
and they make it really educational. Yeah. They bring it back around. And another thing I honestly really believe is that as kids get older, they have a lot more.
No, it's not you.
Oh, okay.
No.
I feel like you're taking my mic away from me.
No, what it is I realized we were, with them being dead on, it was like breathy. So now our breath can go past it, but still. Yeah.
But as kids are getting older, they want to know what's going on. Like, it gives them more of a sense of control.
Swing it towards you, sorry.
My bad. I have to come closer
No, my
to
bad.
it.
No, it's my bad. It's me. It's not you, it's me.
But they love it. World Watch has been huge for us. And so we formed a little morning routine, which when we get done, I love. And then, another program that I actually started Lydia on is called the Night Zookeeper, which is a language arts one that helps with writing. So I'm still on the fence about that one. We just started that one. I don't know. But here's what I do know. Here's the point to all of this rambling around. Because I feel like it's important. My release of things and how I felt things should go has been the most powerful thing for me to feel like I have more control over the school day.
Right.
Because I was feeling so out of control. And yes, they were being terrible. And yes, they were running amok. And yes, they were, more discipline wasn't helping. More scheduling wasn't helping. Even though schedules are really good and we definitely have them, it wasn't the key. The key was me going, okay, Lord, what is important to you today? And I think what I've just been thinking through is that I'm really challenging myself to be more spirit-led in so many areas of my life, like so many things. Yeah. But homeschool was something I was like, no, this has to be specific because there's benchmarks and there's people looking at me and there's mean people that could bring me to jail if my kids don't reach these places, or my kids could grow up and be illiterate, and that would be terrible. And, all of that is just fear and worry, honestly. Yeah. And so I'm going to find a new guy to do podcasts with if you don't get it together.
No, here's the thing.
He keeps moving my mic. This is the second time after totally.
No, here's the thing. I feel like I can, because this is like our personal podcast, I feel like I can like mess around with stuff, but I can't with guests. I have to look professional. With you.
Well, I'm sure people listening love to have you.
They don't know.
They don't know.
If you didn't say anything, they would. If they were watching the video, then they would know.
I felt like I was saying something I kind of thought was important.
It was important. You were the one that. I was just gonna tweak.
Mm-hmm. Anyway. So, yeah.
God is leading you into not just trusting His Spirit in other areas of your life, other facets of your life. You were saying that even with homeschooling, something that you feel like there's benchmarks, things that people are judging you for with academics and I think that's the key,
judging, because you're not only feeling judged by others, you're judging yourself.
Oh yeah. Well, because you're judging yourself based on even what other people are doing. It's like, oh, they're doing this, and how come their kids get
100%. Yeah. As your friends' kids are just reading in their spare time and doing all kinds of awesome stuff.
They own businesses and their kids are just like off the side going like, Mom, I got a degree.
They need to order like algebra for their elementary school student because they're just killing it. And, and one of the things in conversation a lot I have people tell me is, oh yeah, so-and-so, they're homeschooling and their kids are excelling. Yeah. And that always, to me, I really got to take my heart captive in that because homeschool is the right choice for my kids because it will allow them to excel in certain areas. Maybe not all. They need time in other areas, and that is why we're homeschooling, is because they need that extra time. They need that extra attention. Yeah. And so even that benchmark of my kids are above grade level is not even the benchmark I can look at.
Well, and honestly, like, what gives me peace about what we're doing with homeschooling, what you're doing with homeschooling, is I just all of those times that, number one, Lydia is in her classes, but she's feeling not judged, because I don't think kids were judging her, but I think maybe that self-imposed judgment that I'm not up with my classmates.
She was exhausted.
Yeah, and then Ari coming home basically freaking out because of the anxiety factor.
Hers were more social issues.
Yeah, and so I think that's where I have to come back to going, okay, God, we made the right choice to homeschool, right?
Right.
But also, our homeschool's not going to look like everyone else's homeschool. It's going to be messier. It's going to be more spirit-led. Okay, today, maybe today is... What was it the other day that you did?
So the other day...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I'll let you tell. Yeah.
So the Lord had been working on me about this, and it was so miserable. It was so miserable for so long. And I just hit a wall. And finally the Lord's like, are you ready to listen? I'm like, I'm ready to listen. And so my sister had come over, and she has an 8-month-old. And my 10-year-old is obsessed with babies, like absolutely obsessed. Can't get enough of them.
She is fantastic with them.
She's amazing with babies.
That's the thing. It's a gift.
It is.
Yeah.
And so that morning, we did our really a simple morning routine, nothing elaborate, nothing super schooly. And I felt like I was supposed to just let her be with the baby.
Yeah.
And so she helped my sister feed my nephew and change my nephew and play. And she spent the entire morning caring for her cousin. And there was just this peace and life in our home that... And everything just flowed, right?
Yeah.
And it wasn't like she wasn't learning anything. I mean, she was being taught the whole time, but she wasn't learning what I deemed to be important for the day.
Right. Because it wasn't on your schedule that you had made.
But it was such a peaceful day.
Right.
And so I'm looking at that going, okay, yes, I see your point, Lord, but how do I... Obviously, no one wants to do math. No one wants to do, their reading program. But these are important things, and they have to get done.
Right.
But what's funny, just kind of talking this out.
Right.
Is as I've had that release, they've been more willing to go do those things. I don't know why that is. Maybe because I'm not stressed out, or they're not feeling the pressure from me.
It was interesting because I popped in today, and both the girls, number one, there was a peace in our home. Mm-hmm. Number two, they were both doing what they needed to be doing with kittens on their lap. Right? I mean, that was it. But they were both doing what they were doing. I was going to say the other story that you did is you took our girls to the park to do their homework, or to a lake to do their homework.
Yeah, you always have this thing that drives me nuts. You call our homeschool homework, and it's all schoolwork. There's no homework. It's all schoolwork.
I just think of it as your homework.
No, it's wrong.
It's like when someone works from their home.
Because you tell Ari, go do your homework, and she looks at you and goes, I don't have any homework.
But is she at home? And is it work?
Yes.
So you went to a lake to do school
But that was a
work.
Terrible day.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, it was a plan I had.
Yeah.
And it failed miserably. It was a terrible day. Remember, we had to move the podcast, and it didn't work out.
Yeah, no. I knew it was a horrible day. I thought going to the lake was part of what helped bring it back, but no.
I thought it would. It was one of the things I tried. I did. And, the last thing I'll leave you with this homeschooling year is I don't think the answer for a successful homeschool lies in curriculum. I don't think it lies in schedule, even though those things are important and those things are worth pursuing. I think the key for me that I'm finding is release, of being able to trust the Lord, that he's faithful in this.
Yeah.
Like anything else in my life, he's going to be faithful in this. And that he cares more about my education for my kids than I do.
Right.
Just like everything else he cares about for them. And so when I start to release my ideals and what I enjoy even, or what I think is so essential, he comes in and he's going to fill in those gaps, and he's going to bring peace into the situation. So
yeah, I think, and that's been an area God's been working on you, and is in both of our lives, our entire life. This last year, I would say is summed up in being led by the Spirit, right? Moment by moment, not just like, what's our path for our life? It's like moment by moment. For me, it's been having you need to take a step back from Cultivate, which you for those listening, Lacey is the strategy genius behind anything that is remotely successful in our ministry / marriage. Her ability to be strategic, like I'm more of a day-to-day task person, right? Like I have a task and I will do it perfectly until it is done. Like that is me. Lacey's like strategy, researcher, all of that. And so her stepping back from our ministry, leaving this massive hole of strategy and research and what's going to be the best for, our ministry, both here locally and online, and, analytics and what are people engaging with. It has left this massive, and so for me with Cultivate, the area that I've had to be incredibly in tune with the Holy Spirit on is that releasing, number one, what I expect we should be doing or should happen, and allowing God to speak into that, going, I want you to do this tonight. Right, we have a local Monday or Sunday night meeting that we do, and it's been God, early in the year. I mean, we launched again in October, was it? Our ministry nights?
Yeah.
And him specifically speaking to me, going, you're not going to be preparing anything. You will, whatever, you're going to go up with a Bible, and whatever I lay on your heart, that's where we're going to go for the night. And a lot of that, obviously for me, who is more teacher-oriented, deliberative, I want to know where we're going. I want to know where we're going to land on certain subjects and what the end result is that I can challenge someone with, or be able to give them a coherent next step, right? Like, okay, here's the activation for this week for our teaching, because this teaching was on X, Y, and Z. And so it's been God moving me in that and releasing that. And it's so fascinating. And also, Lacey's the one, if there's any public forum that we're doing, she's the one that really has always been my public filter, because, and I've talked with Donna and several people on our podcast about this, how I'm not what I would consider the face of our ministry, because you are so much more gracious and engaging with people. And it's all these areas, strategy, the public persona, PR of our ministry, all of that has been you, because that's just natural to you. That is what God has gifted you in. And it's quite the opposite with me. And so for me over the last year, it has been releasing not just what I'm going to be teaching on, but also as events and things come up in our local community, or engaging people on a personal level, has been very difficult, and I've had to release and entrust.
It's been so good for you, though.
It has been so good.
It really has, because I think that your lack of people skills...
It's accurate.
Okay. I think a lot of that, and the lack of ability to express your face. You have expressions on your face.
Right.
You're better now. You're way better now. But I think a lot of that comes from pain in your past, either being rejected and being like, I'm not even going to get involved, so then I have to be rejected by people.
Right.
And number two, you were just kind of in those formative years where kids learn how to, those awkward teenage years where kids are learning how to stop talking when the story's too long, and they're learning how to not invade personal space, and how to, engage people. Those formative years. You were a lot of times in the hospital, or you didn't have that same social surroundings that a lot of people had. And so I'm not, not saying this to be like, poor Nathan. I'm just saying that to say that
it's a skill I'd never really developed.
Right. And you wanted it for years. I mean, I would mock you because you'd get these books from the 80s, like, what was the one called? It was like Les Gibbons, how to make friends or something like that. It wasn't how to make friends and influence people.
No,
but
it was more personal than that.
It was Les Gibbons.
It was actually how to basically make friends.
Right, which I think I might have told this story on the podcast before, but I'll tell it again because he's reading this story. This was years ago because he really had a desire to get better at this in his life. And so he's reading this book and he's thinking, I'm going to try these tactics. But he's really robotic about it, right?
Yeah, I'm going to implement what I'm learning.
And so the goal became, I got to implement this. I got to do these steps. And so we end up taking our cat, I think at the time we had a cat, to the vet. And so he puts his game face on. He's like, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to make a friend. I'm going to do this.
I'm going to do this.
And so, the first step was engage a person in something that is interesting to them. So he sees a couple next to him in the waiting room and they have a dog and he starts trying to engage them with their dog, but they're being really standoffish and kind of...
Yeah, they're being incredibly rude to me.
Really shut down.
Yeah, I'm trying my best.
And so he's asking them more questions about their dog and really just like double or nothing, like doubling down.
Here's the thing. I'm trying to invest in this conversation.
Right, like really he
engage in...
He wanted to show the people that he was a caring person.
And they're being incredibly rude to me, shutting me down.
Well, so he's just so confused. He comes back out to the car to me and he's telling me this because for some reason I'm waiting in the car. He comes back out telling me about this and he's just kind of ticked off. Like, I tried all the tactics. They didn't work. Well, then we see the couple walking out and they're carrying this empty collar and leash and the wife's like sobbing into the husband's arms. And I'm like, oh my gosh, hon, I love you so much. But you totally missed the clues, like the body language and the setting and there
were people, there was a dog. I was going to talk about the people, about the dog.
I'm engaged.
But
that's what I'm talking about, is just that even though you tried for so long to create that ability, there's more than just tactics. But
I was telling someone this, I think it was at our small group at our church. I was telling someone how having to prepare for guests on our podcast has actually made me better at engaging people in the public, because I've had to think of engaging questions to ask that bring out, what is important, what the person values and is important to them. Right. So,
and how to listen, not just think for the next question.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. Because that's the other thing is I may have engaging questions, but it's like, thank you for that answer. Next question, please.
Next question. Yeah. Moving on.
So I think preparing for the podcast, interviewing people has made me a better person because I'm listening more. I'm looking for that next, maybe, okay, let's expand on that question, right? And I'm being more spirit-led because I'm, number one, first key is I'm interested in the other person, which, like what you were saying, I've never been interested in people because I didn't need to, didn't want to, whatever it is that, I was not engaging someone else in. So I could write a list of questions.
I think it was just too hard, and so you didn't want to.
Well, and I could appear engaging because I had my list of questions, right? That were well thought out hours before. But now
and he would film a podcast and he'd be like, "You want to listen to it?" I'm like, "No, not really." And
because you're a horrible interviewer.
And then he'd have me listen to it. I was like, "Well, why would you do this? Why would you say that?" And it sounds
basically
really mean.
Tearing apart everything.
Yeah, it sounds really mean, but at the same time, that is what he keeps me around for a lot of times, is that, but here's something different about Nathan that's really great, is that he enjoys listening to things he's taught or, looking back into things, and because it helps him get better. Yeah. Me, on the other hand, if I film something or I record something,
it's like a one and done, and you're out.
I'm never listening to it. I'm never watching it again. If there's a video we're doing that's getting played on the screen for church, I'm not gonna stick around to watch it. I don't want to know. I don't want to see. I'm not gonna. I don't want to.
You don't want to see the collateral
pick myself
damage.
Apart. Yeah. No, and I mean, it's not that I'm not open for constructive criticism. I am. I guess I just get self-conscious. I'm more self-conscious than you are about that kind of thing.
I love watching myself, not because I like listening to myself. I love picking apart and improving upon areas that
which I feel like is a skill that I value for myself. I like need to get better about.
Like, as a hypothetical, if
I were to listen to my going back and forth and my voice modulating it to the correct.
See, why did you steal that from me?
I knew what you're gonna say.
I needed this.
I'm sorry.
I need this.
I know you're accurate. You're not wrong. Yeah, I finally watched the video when you were talking about my jaw gyrating all over the place, and I do it all the time. I do it constantly.
Oh God, she was. So we were talking about the braces. I'm doing it now because I've
thought about it.
She was listening to the braces or watching the braces when she goes, "Do I do that a lot? Where I like move and play with my?" I'm like, babe, constantly. Why do you think I call it your gyrating jaw? You're constantly doing that,
guys. I don't even know I'm doing it. I'm just.
You are
trained. Do you think when I get them off, I'll still be like?
I think it'll dissipate over time, but yeah, of course, because then you're going to be so fascinated by how it feels when it's off. I mean, that's the thing that people with braces talk about is once you get them off, you're just constantly like licking the top. Ew, it's so smooth. Like
the
just
mouth
constantly.
Ugh. We just lost all of our people listening.
No, we lost them due to mouth noises long ago because of you. Just constantly.
You're not wrong. I'm sorry, guys. It's not me.
It's my braces.
It's my braces.
So I think like if we in theory had a topic for this Shoot the Breeze, it would be that life is messy, right? And the only way to walk through and be successful in the way of not success like making money or any of that, but I think maybe more mentally and emotionally successful.
Being at peace. Right.
Is, okay, am I doing what the Holy Spirit is leading me to do right now? And what the Holy Spirit has led you to do, Lacey, is different than what the Holy Spirit is leading me to do. It's the first time in our marriage and in our ministry we are on two different paths, right? That where God has been leading us, not apart, not.
No, I know what you're saying. We've always worked together. We've been blessed to be able to work together.
Our lives have been very parallel day to day.
Right.
And this is a season where God has kind of split them apart, not as like a couple, not as parents or anything like that, but
just an intentionality.
Yeah, our intentions our purposes are being separated.
Well, I mean, even for the first time today, and it's taken me a while to get here because I've known this for the last year.
Yeah.
But even today, someone called me and said, "Hey, are you guys offering X, Y, and Z?" And I said, "Actually, let me give you my husband's number."
Yeah.
And you can talk to him because I've stepped out for a little while because I don't have the ability to offer what I used to be able to offer right now.
Right.
But it took me so long to accept that. I was trying to make it work and it just wasn't. Yeah. But there was so much freedom in being able to say, "No, why don't you give him a call and you guys can talk about what would work because this is where I'm at right now." And I didn't have to apologize. And he was like, you know what he was like? "I hate you. You're the worst. Why did you do that?" No, he said, "You're such a failure." No, that's not what he said at all. He goes,
"Do more, try harder."
He goes, "Okay, that makes sense."
Yeah.
You know, but yeah.
I think it's one of those things that in our own lives, and also we see this in other people's lives, that God in seasons anoints or graces people with certain abilities, right? Mm. And in this season, he has given you a grace, an anointing for our girls. Both homeschool, emotional, mental, all of those, right?
I'm like looking at you going, really? As I cry to myself to sleep at night, right? It doesn't feel like it.
But take exactly what you've experienced this last week.
Right.
It's like, oh, okay, God is slowly kind of giving us that, or you given.
Well,
and
he's. I don't disagree. I think the hard thing and the reason I fight so much against it is because it's not my first desire. It's not my what I'm necessarily good at.
Yeah.
You know, it's I don't feel natural in it.
Well, and I was going to say, so flip that around. Me. God has given me a grace in this season to be more strategic and, big news shocker, more personable with people. I can actually have a conversation and not shut down and be like, I'm going to go to the bathroom now.
You've had a few good first meetings lately. I've been really impressed.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I feel like the word you were searching for was shocked, and
no, I'm impressed. I think it's great. I'm proud of you.
What you wanted to say was
That's not true.
Blown away by how no.
So I think that wraps it up. We need to get ready for our date, right? Like we need to.
Oh yeah, you
head
ready
on
to
out
go?
of this? Yeah.
We're only 53 minutes in.
Oh, do we have to talk for 7 more minutes?
We just have to blabber on for the next 7 minutes. No, we can be done. I want to go on our date so bad. I'm so excited.
Ready. I'm
so ready. I know I'm so ready too. Because it's okay. When was the last date just you and me together? When was it?
Well, we've been taking the time. There's this time every week where Lydia takes swim and Ari takes ballet, and we've kind of reclaimed that time for like an hour. We'll go get a coffee together. But I think we're gonna go get a meal.
No, we're
gonna go to Austin and get a meal together.
Yeah. We may get kicked out of restaurants. We'll see.
Well, if Nathan doesn't wear a mask, yes.
I'm not wearing a mask.
I know you're not.
I'm not wearing a mask.
I know.
Pretend you had 60% lung function.
Listen.
And you say, hey, throw this heavy cloth over your face for a couple hours and see how it works out for you.
Are you just preparing? Because I feel like
I am. I have all of my arguments as to why I'm not wearing a mask.
Can you not try them out on me? Because I'm not against you.
Sir, what is your disease? Oh, I'm sorry. Do you have a HIPAA form that I can sign? Because I'm not going to disclose that to you because that's my personal and between me and my doctor information.
If you haven't picked up on it, Nathan does not like wearing masks, and they do not allow him to breathe, and it is
no. Here's what really. I'm going to choose my words carefully so that I don't
feel like you are though.
No.
I feel like
I will.
You're freestyling.
There's more words I would rather choose.
Okay, go ahead.
That's why I'm going to talk slow. I do not appreciate the virtue signaling for everyone else who may and or may not be sick, but those who are legitimately sick with a terminal disease who have to quote unquote wear a mask for other people's safety when their personal comfort and ability to live is immediately at stake.
You know what they would say to that?
What?
What are you doing out in public?
Living my life because I have freedom to live.
Cowering in your room.
In fear?
In fear, yeah.
Because that's how I've been able to survive for 37 years.
No, you're so funny.
It bugs.
Listen, I know. I didn't really want to end the podcast on this note, but
well, you did.
I did not. You're the one that got ramped up.
No, you're like, are you ready to wear a mask?
We can literally play it back. I did not say, are you ready to wear a mask? I said, are you ready to go on our date?
We could play it back, but how it's edited and
Guys,
put on the podcast.
This is how our date is starting. I want you to know that it is
no, don't
going down this train.
You like it when I get passionate. You love it.
No, not recently.
You used to love it.
That's because you were so expressionless.
Any form of expression.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we're going to go get food.
Right.
We'll tell you how it goes.
Okay. Goodbye.